Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with the Deuce, Season 1, Episode 4 review. Alright, so I really enjoyed this episode personally. I thought it was really well done. Just like all the other episodes. And this series is really just, it keeps amazing me really. Yeah, it is going a little slow. I've heard that from, a lot of people. Some people maybe have even given up, maybe at this point. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of guessing. But, a lot of people, they come back week to week and they want, hard-hitting action. They want answers and all that. But, with a show like this, we're not getting them right away here. So, that's just the type of the show, I guess, right? So you just kind of have to roll with it. And I roll with it. I think it's really great. I honestly look forward to tuning into this show every week. I didn't watch it Sunday night this week, so that's why this review's a little late. I watched it last night instead. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I am really excited to watch it every week. Like, honestly, I do really enjoy the show. Now, it's becoming a little bit tough to do reviews for, I will say, and I know some other guys who were doing reviews for the first few, and then they kind of have switched up, or they have just completely cut doing them, and I'm not gonna cut doing them because I think this show is definitely worth reviewing, and I think it's I think it's definitely worth my time for sure, right? Of making these videos for it, and I really enjoy it. So, I'm not going to give up on reviews, but I am going to change the style a little bit, just to make this easier for me, so I'm not, going through an hour episode and trying to, make notes and all that. So, I'm just going to share basically the main stuff that I recall, sort of, from the episode, here, and then share my thoughts. So it's going to be more, thought-based. Obviously, I'm still going to do a recap, but it's going to be, a little bit more thought-based and, the rating, character, that stuff, and a little bit less of a recap portion, right? So, just because this show, like, not much stuff happens, and it's hard to review, a 59-minute show. I don't have no other shows that are 59 minutes on the channel that I review. Ozark would be the closest, and it's 54 or 52 minutes usually, typically. So, yeah. So it's a big difference for me personally, and also it's just pretty difficult, right? So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I hope that's okay with you guys. Recently I've been doing the characters, but now I'm just kind of gonna hone it in even more and do the couple here, or a few. I have a few for this episode, because this episode, actually, I think quite a lot of stuff happened, to be honest. Like, the pilot and this, I think, are the two episodes where we got a lot of the most action, the most answers, or whatever like that. So yeah, for sure, really good episode. And yeah, so let me get into the recap here of the Deuce episode 4. Yeah, so the first thing, Vincent and Abby hooking up. So yeah, that was I had to put that first, right? That was like, and obviously, guys, these aren't in chronological order as well. So that's just another thing to point out, with this new kind of style. But yeah, so they hooked up at the back of the bar there when they closed, on the pool table. My God. Yeah, so that was a really interesting scene. Unexpected. I didn't see that coming. I knew that it was going to come sometime. Like, they set it up pretty well so that, Vincent and her were gonna, get together at some point here. But I didn't expect it to be this soon. And it was just a really spontaneous scene. And, one thing led to another, of course. And, they've been hitting on each other a little bit here and there, throughout the series so far. But, I didn't see it, coming this soon. So, yeah, they hook up there on the pool table at the back. And, yeah, it was like I said, very interesting scene. And, obviously Vincent, kind of lonely right now. He has no one. And Abby doesn't really have anyone either, right? So they're kind of, finding a friend in a way, with each other. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting as well, right? They're both kind of alone. Although, Vincent has his brother-in-law, and all that stuff, right? He has the family aspect, but he's not in a relationship or anything like that. So, yeah, for sure. And then the next one, basically the construction guys. So this was a big part of this episode. They basically band together behind this, band together behind this Bill Schmidt guy. And basically they keep their checks instead of signing them over to Vincent and Bobby. So they keep their checks until Monday instead of giving them to Vincent and Bobby, and that's how, of course, Rudy and them are, making money because they're taking 5% off of their checks that they cash in on the Friday. So, yeah, I actually read something online that actually explained that whole concept. So I'll just try to do a quick recap. So basically, these construction guys, they basically have their checks on Friday for the week, and they can't, deposit them or cash them in until Monday, right? Because the banks are closed by the time they get them on Friday. So basically, what Vincent and Bobby are offering here, well, for Rudy, are offering, that they'll cash their checks on Friday, but they get like a certain percent. I think it's 5% of their check. So that's what's really going on here, and then that 5%, of course, is going towards is Rudy, right? So, and I think these construction guys know that, but they just don't really care, right? Because they want that money as soon as possible so they can, do something with their families on the weekend or whatever. So yeah, I found that really helpful, by the way, that someone put that online that I saw it. I was really happy because I was really confused that when they first brought this up. But anyway, so that's what happens, and they're kind of out of luck. They go and tell Rudy, and then later on, Vincent actually tells Rudy's assistant. I'm not sure his name, but he tells him about Bill, that he was the one who kind of led this revolution in a way, against them, and basically Rudy, his assistant, and this other, big thug guy, the Italians, they all go to the site and beat this Bill Schmidt guy up, real good too. I mean, this guy took a really good beating, and yeah, so they taught him a lesson, and they also they made sure that the guys are keeping the deal going, right? That they're now they see that Bill Schmidt, they kind of created an example here of him, and they also, left him there purposely so the guys would see him. So, definitely they're making sure that these guys are keeping the deal going, and they're kind of, making it out to seem like it was an option all the time, but it really wasn't, right? They need the money, and they're not going to stop doing it. So it's basically not an option. And these guys are gonna have to, start doing it on Fridays, and stop this revolution, sort of. So that was a quick end to that. And also this shows the brutalness, of the Italian guys, the mob, really, right? I guess Rudy's a kind of a mob boss. So yeah, it definitely shows the brutalness of them, and what they're willing to do here to kind of get their way, right? So, yeah, I thought that was a very interesting thing. I felt like, that whole arc was stopped a little early, right, when they beat up this guy. I feel like that maybe could have waited till next episode, but yeah, it was a quick, cause and effect sort of thing there. Consequences were dealt pretty soon. So then I found this really interesting this week as well, and I'm really liking this character a lot more each week. Charles Alston, basically, the police guy, he disobeys the no-go zone, basically, that they've announced now, and arrests this guy on the street selling cocaine. He's just a lowly, seller or whatever, or dealer, I guess, but he decides to bring him in. He's kind of testing out this no-go zone thing, right? So he brings him into the station with Flanagan there, and basically they tell him to let him go right away. The captain kind of, dismisses him, right? Tells him to let him go. And yeah, so basically the test fails, and the no-go zone is serious, right? Because they make him let him go, and kind of chastise him a little bit, right, for doing what he did. Obviously he didn't, get in trouble or anything, but I think if he would do it again, then, consequences would get a little worse, right? But yeah, I really liked, Alston, challenging the system, really, testing it, right, to see if it was really, the no-go zone like they said it was. So yeah, I really liked this part, and I thought it was an interesting part to Alston's character as well, right? Shows us more about him, and shows that maybe he isn't, a part of all these other cops that seem to be, a little corrupt, or not a little, but a lot. So yeah. So then Candy, she was a big focus of this episode. I felt like she was maybe even, a bigger focus than Vincent in this, even though Vincent's sort of the main character. Yeah, she was big focus in this one. So, we kind of see her getting tired of her job, of course. We see her out in the rain working at that, and then she goes to the movie theater and works there, giving guys blowjobs there in the theater. and that was really gross when the rat came up, and yeah, that was like such a gross thing there. And yeah, so then after that, later in the episode, she ends up, going up to this room with this really obese guy. And they're going up the stairs, and he's, barely making it up the stairs or whatever. So something, is up already, right? He's having trouble breathing and stuff. So then, she ends up, they're back in the room, and she's giving him a blowjob, and all of a sudden, he falls back, and it was really funny at first, right? Because, like, I was like, oh, okay, like, that's kind of a weird thing, right? He, like, kind of screamed or something like that. Yeah, so he basically, I guess like, he orgasms, and then he basically loses consciousness and falls back, directly back, and he dies right there on the bed, right in front of Candy, right after that. So, like, what the hell, right? I mean, that was kind of a crazy moment, really weird too, right? But he was a big guy, and he already, exerted himself on the stairs. Probably, he's just, overworking himself, I guess. But yeah, so obviously you feel for Candy in this situation because, she obviously had nothing to do with his death. Wasn't her fault at all. But obviously she's gonna feel a little bit guilty. Maybe that turns her off in the future. So yeah, definitely weird, right? But an interesting scene nonetheless. Kind of funny, I guess, a little bit. I mean, the guy died, but they make light of it in the show quite a bit. All the pimps and all the people there in the restaurant at the end. But my question is, could this be the straw that broke the camel's back? So basically, the one incident that finally pushed Candy over the edge, sort of thing there, and made her finally quit this prostitution business and try to go on with something else. And yeah, so we don't see her hook up with another prostitution customer or whatever like that in the episode. So that might be the case. It might not be. I feel like it may not be because she needs monies, right? So she's gonna keep doing it to get the money because she needs it, right, for her son. So she's in a tough spot, but at least she doesn't have a pimp, right? Like, that would make things a lot worse. So yeah, definitely interesting though, and definitely gonna be big for Candy in the future, I think. So then the sheriff and a couple of police guys cause some trouble in Vincent's bar, and they start beating this guy up or something like that. And Vince tries to stop it, but they show him the badge or whatever, and it's like, what like, why are the police beating this guy or whatever? But basically we find out it was all just kind of a ploy, or a coincidence, but it was probably a ploy. And basically the sheriff, makes him pay a monthly tax from now on, basically for his protection, so that the cops won't come in and do that again. So, yeah, I don't know, like, Vincent doesn't really have a choice, of course, so, he takes money out of the cash register and gives it to him up front. I think it's like $250 a month or something, just so that the police, would kind of leave him alone, I guess, his protection, right? And yeah, so he didn't really have a choice, and he kind of, caves to them, of course, right? You can't just, kill the police or whatever. And, obviously this shows the corrupt police force as well, right? Just showing, what they're willing to do. And, what, in specific, what the sheriff is willing to do to make a little money, right? I bet he, probably pocketed this. So, yeah, definitely, interesting there, showing more of that the police aspect of things here. And I think that's an important view on this situation as well, in these times. So, I'm glad that they're covering that for sure. So, after this whole big incident with the police, then also, Rudy's assistant comes in, tells Vincent that, he should maybe get a gun or whatever to protect himself, or, in future, if these, fights keep happening in the bar. So basically he goes and he tries to buy a gun from one of Big Mike's friends in this, really sketchy trailer. And that was a funny scene, I thought. I think it was pretty funny. How he picks the women's gun or whatever, and then, the guy says, for a woman or whatever, that would be $60, and then he kind of realizes. So, that's a funny scene there. I like that, and, there's not a lot of comedy in this, so, yeah, it really helps out sometimes. And then the friend kind of ends up, kind of volunteering himself for the job as basically being the gun, right? Instead of, Vincent buying a gun, that, he's gonna be the gun, basically, and be, his protection, basically. yeah, so essentially, him and this Big Mike guy are now, going to work for Vincent in the bar, and just serve as kind of protection there. And of course, they both have guns, right? So they'll be able to stop, fights and riots and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was a really, smart idea from Vincent's standpoint, because he doesn't really know anything about a gun, right? So him buying a gun is kind of pointless at this point. And to hire this new guy is kind of interesting. So, and then this is a funny part, when he says his name is Frankie, and Vincent says, "Well, this is going to be difficult. Can we call you Black Frankie or something?" So, that was just kind of funny. And then he uses it later on as well. So, yeah, just kind of a funny nickname there, of course, right? From Vincent, of course, but and not surprising at all, right? Black Frankie. Back in those times, of course, lots of names like that. So, yeah, I really like that character, by the way, the Black Frankie guy. I think the character is really amusing, right? So far, he's pretty funny, and so yeah, apparently he's Big Mike's friend. So that maybe creates a few more mysterious things with Big Mike, and how he got there, why he did the stuff he did last episode. So I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later as well. So but yeah, that's basically that one there. And then so I call this Eileen now, because she's not Candy. She's not on the street basically anymore. So I kind of use Eileen, her real name. But basically, she goes out on a date with this man named Jack that she meets in the music store. And I thought this was a really warm, part of the episode, but I didn't understand it all. So basically, she lies to him about having kids, when they're having this dinner. She's also drinking a lot of wine, like, as, seems like she's, kind of drinking away, her sorrows or something like that. Yeah, so she lies to him about having kids. What she does for a living, and then at the end of the day, she even gets him to drop her off at this luxurious place. And obviously she doesn't live there. And then later on, we see her walk out alone. So that was kind of funny. That part there. And just to see her, like that she lied about it and all that. But she was smiling, right? So she was kind of, I guess, happy about it. That the date went well and that she went. So yeah, so my thoughts of this, like, I feel bad for the guy, to be honest, right? Because he doesn't know he doesn't know anything about it. He does seem like a genuine nice guy, right? He's not like all these guys, who try to get her on the streets and whatever and pay her for sex, right? He just seems like a nice guy. And obviously I think he deserves a little bit better than, what she's letting on to be. So yeah, I feel bad for him. And my look at this is, this could be Eileen's, chance at having something real. So I'm not sure why she's, lying to him and blowing everything. But then another thing comes to mind as well. And is she kind of realizing during the date that, this isn't, this just isn't reality for me. Like, I could never do that. I can never have this. So maybe that's why she's drinking. That's why, she's kind of depressed about it. That, this isn't, like, this isn't reality for me. And this is kind of, just a tease at, what I could have or something like that. I don't know, but I just didn't really understand why she was lying to him and why she was kind of like depressed about the whole date thing. So that could be it. But yeah, I mean, I felt like, why not be, well, obviously she wouldn't be truthful and say, she's a prostitute or whatever, but, she could have said that she does have a kid or something like that. I don't know, right? But I have a feeling that she's going to go out with him again, and I'm going to just feel, like, more bad for the guy, but, whatever. But anyways, yeah, I thought that was a really interesting part of the episode, right? For her to go on a date with this guy, and definitely, feel some sympathy again for her, right? And seeing, her life, her real life, and then, this is kind of like her pretend thing, right? And this, seems like a normal thing to us, and, to her, obviously, it's a hardship, right? To go on a normal date, right? With what she does for a living. So, yeah. So then, this is just kind of a funny thing, but Frankie basically does well at a gambling table this one night at the bar for the first time ever, right? Like, he always is losing and betting too high, really cocky, of course. But somehow he does well, and he cleans up, he gets a lot of money back, and finally he pays back his debts with Rudy, and he, gives the money to the assistant. So they are even now. And the assistant says, I suspect not for long, or I expect not for long. So probably true, right? With Frankie, the character that we're kind of learning about here. Yeah, it probably won't be long. But yeah, good to see him, pay back his debts. Finally, right? But then my question is, if they're even now, then why is Vincent still in business with them, right? I mean, if they're even, why is Vincent still, doing these checks with the construction guys? Why is he still wanting, to be a part of this new business and stuff? And also, I guess one of the answers with that, to that question would be that they kind of locked him up in that bar, right? With his own bar now, they own it, right? And he pays rent to them. So, yeah, kind of, a lot of stuff going on here with Rudy. And, I'm starting to think he's really a smart guy, roping in Vincent like this. And he really has nowhere to go, Vincent, right? He really can't get out of this now. And he's kind of trapped in this. So, yeah, pretty sad for Vincent, right? Really quickly he got himself trapped in this. Could end up being good though too, right? I mean, he could reap the benefits and make a lot of money. So, like Rudy's saying, so definitely. But yeah, that's just a sort of question there. But I guess maybe he is trapped and he really can't get out, or maybe he still does want to do business with him. Maybe he wants to make a little bit of money, right? So then at the very end of the episode here, we see Rudy and the assistant, and they basically show Vincent their new building. And obviously it's just, it looks like a bunch of, wood and it's an abandoned building there. And yeah, so nothing is revealed really. They're just kind of walking around, and then, Vincent asked him, what's this going to be or whatever, and then it just cuts to the next scene and we don't find out. So nothing's revealed here, but for me, at least, it sounds like it's going to be like a legal prostitution bar, like a strip bar or something, or strip club or something like that. Obviously, maybe back then they didn't have these. I don't think they did. So maybe that's what they're getting to. They're, starting a strip club or something like that. And then, maybe they're going to ask Vincent to run it, and have like his bar there. So yeah, definitely interesting. I actually think that's a really good prediction. I'm going to be honest. I think that's a great prediction. I just kind of thought of that. But yeah, I think that's what they're kind of building to here, right? And definitely, it's something that's illegal still then. So I'm not sure how they're all pulling it off. And this is definitely a part of the no-go zone, right? This is definitely has something to do with that. So again, I like how they're showing the police point of view and the whole, Vince and Rudy point of view too, right, with this whole operation. So definitely interesting. And yeah, so Rudy's offering Vincent a job there. And we'll have to see, I think Vincent's, he's kind of going to be forced into accepting, of course. But we'll have to see if, how he reacts and what he does. And we'll have to see, of course, what this new building is actually, right? Just really based on predictions right now. But we'll have to see. So, anyways, that just about does it for the recap. I know it was still a little long. I kind of got a little verbose here, but yeah, those are kind of the main concepts. From now on, I don't think all of this many, especially if you have a down episode like episode 2, kind of again. So yeah, for sure, maybe a little bit shorter in the future. So in terms of a rating for this episode, I'm gonna give it a 4.7 out of 5. Yeah, so I liked it better than last week's episode, right? And I gave that one a 4.6 or 4.5, I believe. So yeah, this one's, a little bit higher. Yeah, I really like, and these ratings are mainly based on, the production and the whole storyline and everything like that, right? It's really, this show is more based on enjoyment, right? And the how well done it is. Opposed to, maybe the storyline that takes place, the amount of action or whatever we get, because obviously, we're not getting that much, at least in these early episodes. So, yeah, like, they seem a little high, of course, right? But yeah, I just really enjoyed this series. I'm really liking it. Yeah, it's slow paced, not a lot of stuff is happening here, but I really enjoy it, otherwise, right? The production, just everything about it is just really, really great. And it's, it's really great to compare to what I usually am used to, right? With all the network shows, I do watch a lot of those. So yeah, definitely a big difference for me. So one thing I'd like to point out is it's hard to tell Vincent and Frankie apart at this point. Like, I do get that they have different haircuts. I think that's like the main thing that's separating them right now. But I liked in the first episode, and I think in the second he still had it, where he had the scar on his head. from getting robbed the very first episode. I really like that because I feel like that was a good, way to separate them, and I found it a lot easier. But now I'm kind of still guessing, right? Like the one scene where it was Vincent, I thought it was Frankie for, at least 30 seconds or so, until, they said Vincent or whatever. So I'm getting a little confused. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, I'm finding it a little hard to tell them apart. So maybe, I think they should have maybe stuck with the scar or something, or at least done something here to separate them a little bit. I do understand the different haircut, but at times Vincent kind of has it slicked back as well. And that's kind of Frankie's haircut. So yeah, it's just a little confusing at times. And in this episode, I found it, mainly, this episode was like the biggest confusion so far. And yeah, some definitely some unexpected scenes in this one, right? Abby and Vincent hooking up there. The construction guys, I didn't see that, that coming. So there was a lot of twists in this one that I liked. And, this is kind of the first episode where we've had all these twists. I shouldn't say all, but, some, right? Some twists and some kind of unexpected stuff. So yeah, I thought all of them were well done too. I thought, I didn't really see any of them coming. So I thought they were good and pretty well done. Another thing, and this is kind of a negative, I guess, but Big Mike's character, has seemed to change a lot. Like last episode, he was, a creep to Candy, right? And he almost killed this, little drug dealer guy on the street there, for some reason. And he seemed, really like high or something like that. And then he came into the bar, Vincent kind of made a friend with him, right? Said that he was invited back in. And this episode, it seems like, he's Vincent's best friend and, he's there for him, working for him as security basically in the bar. And, I don't know, it just seemed like too big of a change for me. And there's no payoff with that yet. Like this episode, I for sure thought we were going to get answers. And they're just playing it like that never happened last episode. And this guy's, just a security guard. Everything's fine. Don't look here. And I really expected some answers or some payoff to what we saw last week. So that was just a little bit weird to me. And I did mention this earlier as well, right? With the whole Big Mike story. And, yeah, now that they introduced his friend. So I would think that we get some sort of, backstory or some sort of background of to who he is. How does he know this Black Frankie guy? So, I don't know, right? I really don't know at this point. So, we'll have to see next episode. Hopefully, they give us something there, a breadcrumb or something. Throw us a bone and help us out with understanding that character a little bit more. And hopefully, bring us back to, what changed, right? What made him all of a sudden, a competent guy who's working for Vincent at this bar. So, yeah. Favorite character for this one is Charles Alston, played by Lawrence Gilliard Jr., or I think that's how you pronounce it, Gillard or something. Yeah, Lawrence Gilliard Jr., that's how I'm going to say it. Yeah, he, of course, is in The Walking Dead for any, Walking Dead fans there. And he did a great job on that, Bob. Love that character, man. He went too soon. But anyways, yeah, so he's doing a great job. I really just like the way, this show is kind of doing this a lot, right? We see Alston with a police force, right? The majority of the police force seems a little bit corrupt, but Alston is kind of, one of a kind, right? He's kind of the one guy in the police force who kind of doesn't totally obey those rules. He's kind of a straight guy. He wants, to enforce the law, at all costs, right? So then we see prostitutions, right? The majority of them are all the same. They all have pimps. But then we see Candy, and she's kind of a one of a kind. And then we see Abby. We see university students. They all kind of behave away. Abby's, different than them. She didn't want to do the drugs and whatever, and, she's smarter than them. So, yeah, I really, I kind of noticed that as the show has been going on, that they're kind of picking these characters out of these situations and making them really unique, as a way to tell the story. So, I really, really like Charles Alston. I really like the way he took this episode, how, he kind of disobeyed the orders of the no-go zone and went ahead with it anyways to kind of test the system. I really like his character, where he's going, and he's also hooking up with this other girl, what was her name? I think it was Miss Washington. I forget her first name, but yeah. So that's going to be interesting as well. See where that goes. But yeah, so I really like that character. I think Lawrence Gilliard Jr. is doing an amazing job. I think he does look a little bit old for the role, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think he's trying to play I don't know, maybe early 30s, late 30s. And he is 40 something in real life. I don't know. He looks a little bit old for it. And the afro, I don't know. It doesn't look perfect. But he's doing such a great job in the role and you know, portraying that character really, really well. So, you know, really, really kudos to him and the whole cast, right? The acting has just been amazing, right? That's part of the whole, you know, produced well sort of comment there. So anyways, that'll just about do it for this video. Might be a little bit long, I apologize for that, but anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for the support of my recent videos. The channel is just growing so fast recently, and you know, it's just awesome. So thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I mean, if you're just tuning in now to the Deuce, I've been here since the beginning. Episode 1, 2, and 3 are on the channel, so you've seen those, of course. Go watch them, go watch the reviews, and let me know your thoughts, of course, of the episodes. Let me know your thoughts on my reviews, whatever, and yeah, also subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. So anyways, guys, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for The Deuce, Season 1, Episode 5.
Sisters.